Welcome back, everybody, to the Pittsburgh Pirates franchise here on MLB The Show 20. As today we round out the month of May, entering June. This is a very important stretch coming up here for the Pittsburgh Pirates. Of course, we also have the MLB draft right around the corner, which we'll go into more detail in a couple of minutes. But as you can see, we've had a fine May. We haven't been great, but we've been good. And after this 4-game series against the Diamondbacks is one of the most important stretches that we will have all season. We have a series against the Chicago Cubs, 3 games at home. Then we go to Milwaukee for a 4-game series, at Wrigley to take on the Cubs for a 2-game series, and then another series against Milwaukee, 4 games at home. So 13 straight days, no days off, 8 games against the Brewers, 5 games against the Cubs. And these games are obviously very important because we are in a tight race for first place with the Brewers and the Chicago Cubs. We'll cover that first Cubs series and first Brewers series today. In the next episode, we'll look at the second Cubs series and the second Milwaukee series. So obviously the MLB draft is in 4 days. We will be doing the MLB draft today. That should be fun. A very large chunk of our organization, whether if you're up in the majors or not, has to do with drafting. So obviously we would like to stockpile the farm system for wherever his team is now. Maybe we could try to find a top prospect and use him as trade bait down the line. We'll see. Looking at the numbers for the starting lineup, our big three of Oneil Cruz, Josh Bell, and Benny Lane has been outstanding. Cruz is currently second in the MVP race. Benny Lane is third, and Josh Bell is hitting .331. So these 3 guys have really been dominant. Benny Lane has had a very quiet May. Obviously, he was insane in April, and the average has gone quite a bit downwards in May. The home runs are coming back down to earth, which makes sense. I did not expect Benny Lane to hit .350 with 65 home runs this year, even though he was on pace to put up ridiculous numbers like that after April. Also good to see our rookies, Wander Franco and Pablo Cairo, both playing well. Both of them have been in the majors for about a month now. Not everybody has been excelling. The bench bats are doing pretty poorly. Francisco Mejia has not lived up to expectations. Neither has Dylan Carlson. If you look at the pitching rotation, Jameson Taillon's been fine. Julio Urias started the season off slow, is playing a lot better. But Mitch Keller, I want to talk about Mitch. He has been very disappointing. Obviously, he started this series off slow. Year 1, he was bad. Year 2, he improved, but still wasn't great. And then last year, he really broke out, was one of the top pitchers in baseball. Struck out 224 batters last season, and one of the big things was that he allowed less than 1 hit per inning, which has obviously been a big problem for Mitch Keller. This year, the ERA is back in the 5s, the WHIP is back in the 1.6 territory, he's allowing over a hit an inning. It's been a really rough start to the season for Mitch Keller, and if he doesn't pick it up, well, I don't know. Waddle and Yamamoto have been serviceable, Adonis Medina's been very solid, and then the bullpen as a whole has been really good. Everybody's doing well except for Pedro Baez. We've seen guys like Raisel Iglesias, who started the season off slow, really playing well. Emmanuel Clase has had a great season. Now, he has kind of had a dry stretch for the past couple of weeks, but he's been really, really good this year. Ken Giles is the closer. The ERA is a bit high, but can't really complain. He is still one of the best closers in baseball. So we are going to do some simming, and we would go 3-1 in that span. So good to see the team playing well, now 2.5 games behind the Milwaukee Brewers. So now it's time to look at some of the prospects in the draft. There are a lot of blue chippers in this year's class. Unfortunately, we will not be sniffing any of these players since we are picking towards the end of the first round, since we made the NLCS last year. But a lot of these guys do look really talented. It's a shame that we won't get any of them. So we're going to have to search for other players. What I look for in drafting is find guys who have 80 potential, high enough overall, like 60 to 65 range at least, in the yellow at least scouting-wise, and then try to find players who aren't older than like 21, 22 years old. So I do want to show some names off here. There is Alberto Encarnacion, a left-handed starting pitcher, fits most of my criteria. Same with Rob Pike, another left-handed starting pitcher. Both of these players are 22 years old, which is a bit old. I want guys that are 18, 19, 20, but, I mean, if you're a good prospect, I'm going to pick you. Looking at the relievers, there is a relief pitcher who is a blue-chip prospect. We obviously won't be touching him. There are always plenty of closers who are blue chip prospects, but we do want to sort of like scout some of these guys like Lane Rodriguez, Frank Majam, Miguel Urbina. Very weak catcher class, which sucks because I really want to get younger at the catcher position. I wanted to draft guys last year. I was unable to, and this year there's like nobody at catcher. First base, it feels like I draft a first baseman every year, and it's just because their top like skills are all intriguing to me. All these guys can hit the ball really well, but I mean, I probably shouldn't draft a first baseman this year. Not a lot of talent in the infield, but Robert Romano does stick out to me. Insane defensively, good contact hitter as well. So I think he's a guy to look at, even though he is 23, which is a bit old for what I look for. And then it's also a fairly weak class in the outfield as well. So if you're not picking at the top of the draft and you're looking for hitting, this is not the draft for you. Giancarlo Encarnacion is a guy we could look at. Only 75 potential, but I mean, he looks like he could be MLB ready fairly early in his professional career. So there are plenty of guys that we could certainly look at here, and hopefully we can get some more pieces to help our future or perhaps trade bait. So now it is time for the MLB draft. The Pirates own pick 29. The Diamondbacks are picking ahead of us, which is weird because they beat us in the NLCS, but whatever. We're just going to roll with it. I don't think it'll prove to be that much of a difference. Baltimore Orioles own the #1 selection in this year's class. They had the choice between like 15 different blue chip players, and they would go with the relief pitcher, Bradford Oldham. I don't think I've ever seen a relief pitcher who's a blue chipper. I've seen plenty of closers who are blue chippers, but I've never seen a relief pitcher, so this guy has to be special, clearly. We are now on the board at 29. Obviously, all the blue chippers are gone, and we will be selecting shortstop from Pennsylvania, Robert Romano. He is 23 years old, which is annoying. A lot of the top players we've drafted, like Benny Laney and Santiago Osuna, those guys are only 20 years old right now. Pablo Cairo is only 19 years old right now. But Romano is a player who I like his skill set, excellent defensively, has potential at the plate. Competitive balance, round A. We're going to go starting pitcher Kenny Waldron from the Netherlands. When I was going through those players earlier, I totally did not see this guy. I don't know if he just didn't show up or I missed him, but he looks like a really good prospect for what I look for. A left-handed starting pitcher. I want more lefties in the rotation. Only 18 years old. I think he really fits for what I look for in a starting pitcher. On to round 2. We have our choice between these closers, Miguel Urbina, Frank Majam, and Lane Rodriguez. However, the tiebreaker for me is age. All three of them are 80 potential, 65 overall, 2024 MLB ETA. We are in 2023 right now. I don't think any of these guys will be called up in 2024. But age is the tiebreaker. Frank Majam is the youngest, so he will be our selection. On to round 3, Eric Ullman has really good hitting numbers, and I just can't help myself. I love having lefty bats in the farm system. We have too many first basemen, but I think this guy's a good enough arm to be able to play third. So I think that could be something we consider. He has good fielding as well, so maybe we could try him in one of the corner outfield spots. He doesn't have any secondary positions, but I guess he could always learn. I don't know. On to round 4. We are going to be selecting Lane Rodriguez. He was one of the closers we were considering in round 2. He is still available, so I figured why not go ahead and select him. So Lane Rodriguez, welcome to the team, buddy. Now on to round 5. We're going to go starting pitcher Charlie Schnell. He doesn't look all that enticing. We haven't really scouted him all that much, but at this point there aren't a whole lot of better options. This is really just a crapshoot at this point. None of these guys are really anything special. And then on to round 6, the final selection we get to choose between 6 players. That is not a lot. None of these guys look all that good, but there is a catcher, Benny Fry, available. We do need catchers in the organization, so I figured might as well take a shot on a catcher. So Benny Fry, welcome to the Pittsburgh Pirates. How did our draft end up? Well, we did a fine job. Robert Romano is not great, but our next 2 picks are really solid. Kenny Waldron and Frank Majam, definitely the 2 best selections in the draft. Romano is a 68 overall with 78 potential, so I do think he will be a major league player one day. The question is, will he be more than a utility bench bat? That's the question with him. Kenny Waldron in round 2 looks like a really solid selection, only 18 years old. I like his future. Frank Majam has the highest potential for anyone we've drafted with an 86. This is the first draft. We don't find an A potential player, though. Eric Ullman, his hitting numbers aren't even that good, so I think that was kind of the bad pick in round 3, but maybe we could develop him. Lane Rodriguez in round 4, 65 overall, 79 potential. I think given some development, he could be a major leaguer one day. Charlie Shell, not too crazy, but I suppose he could be a good farm system arm. Maybe he becomes a long reliever one day in the majors. And then Benny Fry, he isn't very impressive, but I mean, there's no one else available, so we figured might as well. Going to briefly look at all the other drafts among the major leagues as the Rockies. Look at this guy, Lou Blanco, a 75 overall third baseman with 97 potential. This has to be the best player who's been drafted in this series, right? Do the Rockies not have faith in Nolan Arenado? Blanco can only play third, so maybe they're looking to trade Nolan Arenado? That's interesting, because this Blanco guy looks like a monster. The number 1 overall pick, Bradford Oldham, not a great selection. He does have 91 potential, but he's a 46 overall. He's not going to be ready for a good, 4 or 5 seasons, so that was not a good selection by the Baltimore Orioles, in my opinion. Someone like Lou Blanco would have really been the face of that franchise had they gone with him. The Tigers drafted a closer in the first round. They have 4 A potential closers at this point. So, I mean, hey, at least they're going to have an elite bullpen in a few years. It's just that their lineup is going to still consist of, bad players. Royals got a 94 potential outfielder. Twins got a 93 first baseman. A lot of these blue chippers are super raw, except for, that Lou Blanco guy we looked at. Tom Lindstrom looks pretty good for the Mariners. I think he has solid upside as an 18-year-old, so I think he was one of the better blue chippers in this draft class. The Astros got that Miguel Urbina guy. He has 86 potential, just like Frank Majam. The Marlins got Billy Butler, a 98 potential second baseman. He is one of 3 players in this series to be drafted who have 98 potential, one of which, of course, in our farm system, Santiago Osuna, our first-round pick back in season number 1. So it looks like Billy Butler or Lou Blanco are probably going to be the best player in this draft class. I would take Blanco based on his skills, but I don't think the Marlins are complaining. The Cubs got a good starter. The Reds got a pretty good starter. And then the Brewers had a pretty uneventful draft. And then that brings us back to us. So we didn't do a great job, but there wasn't really a whole lot of talent outside of the blue chippers. So I'm not going to complain. I don't think outside of the blue chip prospects there were any A potential players drafted this year. So this was a very strong class at the top. But after the blue chippers, it was really, really weak. So we would only win 1 of 3 games in that Cubs series, which does kind of sting. Now we have a 4-game set at Miller Park, taking on the Milwaukee Brewers. This is game 1 of the 4-game series. This is an opportunity for both teams to take momentum early in this battle, as 8 of the next 10 games for the Pirates are against the Milwaukee Brewers. Here's a look at both lineups for today's game. 1-9 on the mound for the home 37-20 Milwaukee Brewers is going to be the righty Freddie Peralta, who's had a pretty good year. 3.36 ERA, 1.19 WHIP, striking out batters at a really good rate. So even though he's only 1-3, don't let the record fool you. He's had a really good season for the Brew Crew. Here's Josh Bell up at the plate here in the top of the first inning. Shop and gap. Runner on and 1 out, by the way, as that would be a double for Bell. He advances safely to second. O'Neal Cruz at third. So Pittsburgh has 2 runners in scoring position with 1 out. This is an opportunity to drive in some runs, and Dylan Carlson would capitalize. He goes shop and gap into left for a double. Both runners would score safely. Carlson sliding in second as the Pirates are on the board first, making it a 2-0 lead. Julio Urias gets the start today for the Pirates. Really played poorly in April, but he has looked a lot better the past month or so for Pittsburgh. Opening batter, Logan Davidson. Better double check that swing. Christian Yelich now up at the plate. 3-1 pitch from Urias. A little lefty on lefty crime as that ball is crushed into right center. Goes over the fence for a solo shot. The ladies are yelling for Yelich. Christian Yelich with his 17th home run of the season. I think Yelich has been the best hitter in baseball this year. And, I mean, the Brewers would not be where they are without the play of Yelich. Carlos Santana strikes out there in the bottom of the second. Now in the top of the third, Seems like both pitchers are starting to get into a groove after not a great first inning, as Josh Bell strikes out. Bottom 3 now, Ben Gamel up at the plate with 1 out. Singles that one into left. So Milwaukee has a pair of runners on base with 1 out. This is an opportunity for them to try to take the lead. Miguel Sano up at the plate now. Deep ball into center field. Warning track power, but it would be caught by Brian Reynolds. Ending the inning, nobody scores, as it is still 2-1, and we advance to the 4th. Runner on here for Wander Franco. Going to go down on the low curveball. Nice pitch from Freddie Peralta. Francisco Mejia now up at the plate. Hits this one nicely into center. And the outside fastball will drop for a base hit. So Pittsburgh now has 2 runners on and 2 outs. Unfortunately for the Pirates, the 9-hole hitter is up, and that would be Julio Urias, who would ground out weakly to second. Throws it to short. Gets the force out at second, ending the inning, as we move on now to the bottom of the frame. Omar Narvaez up at the plate. Narvaez is the Pirate killer. He always plays really well against Pittsburgh for whatever reason, as that ball is going to be hit over the head of Dylan Carlson. Narvaez will be safe at second with a double, as Omar Narvaez has quietly become one of the top hitting catchers in all of baseball. Following batter, Tyrone Taylor. He's just a window shopper because he's just looking. Big out for Urias. Following batter, Carlos Santana, the veteran, grounds this one past the glove of Benny Lane for a hit. Omar Narvaez will not test the amazing arm, as you can see from Pablo Cairo. There's one weakness to Cairo's game. It is his arm. Luckily for the Pirates, Freddie Peralta would be the next batter. He lines out to second. Wander Franco makes the catch, and we advance now to the top of the 5th. 2-1 remains your score. O'Neill Cruz up. Excellent diving play at short from Tyrone Taylor to get the out. Big play for Milwaukee. Now we move to the bottom of the 5th. Runner on and nobody out for Ben Gamel, as that ball is soared deep in a right field into the second deck for a 2-run shot. Gamel's 3rd home run of the year, and the Brewer mascot will slide down the slide, as it is now 3-2, but Milwaukee's not done. The very next batter, Christian. The ladies are still yelling for Yelich. Deep into center, 441-foot mammoth shot. Yelich now with 18 home runs on the year, as Milwaukee goes back-to-back, and it's now 4-2. Miguel Sano would not make it 3 in a row, as he goes down looking on the changeup. 2 gone now for Tyrone Taylor. That'll be a fly out to right. Carlson makes a play, ending this one for Julio Urias. Urias had some good innings, but he also had some bad innings like this one, as we go to the top of the 6th. Pitching change for Milwaukee. The former member of the Pirates organization, J.P. Thayerzen, is into the game. He has had a bad season, to say the least, as the first batter of the inning, the 20-year-old Japanese sensation, Benny Lane, rips a single into left field, so already Pittsburgh has a runner on base. Dylan Carlson now, the next batter, going to go down on the slider. Big out for Thayerzen. Now 2 away for Pablo Cairo, as that ball is going to be hit into left for a base hit. So the Pirates have 2 runners on base and 2 outs. This is their opportunity to break into this lead a little bit, and Francisco Mejia would do just that. Deep in a right center, does not go over the fence, but it would go off the wall. 1 run scores. Cairo will score as well, standing up. And the RBI double from Francisco Mejia will tie the game up at 4 apiece. Huge hit for Mejia. Here's Travis Swaggerty now. That ball is hit deep in a right field. Doesn't have the distance. It just barely will stay in the park. It goes off that little yellow barrier. If that ball had gone maybe a couple centimeters further, it would have been a home run. Instead, it's an RBI double for Swaggerty. Mejia will score. The Pirates will make it 5-4. Yimi Garcia is in for Milwaukee as they just try to get out of this inning alive. Brian Reynolds is up. He grounds this one up the middle just a little. Kiston Hira makes a nice play on the ball. However, bad throw to first. Reynolds is safe. Swaggerty is safe. And now there's 2 runners on the corners and 2 outs for O'Neill Cruz. The Pirates can break this lead wide open, but instead, Cruz goes down looking on the high 4-seam fastball, ending the inning. And we move to the bottom of the frame. Emmanuel Clase is in for the Pirates. He's had a nice year, currently with an ERA at 3.3, 37 strikeouts in 30 innings of work. As Carlos Santana going to lead the inning off, he hits a single out into left field, so already Milwaukee has a runner on base. That will bring up the pinch hitter Jorge Polanco, a regular starter for this team. However, he would get the day off today as he goes down looking on the fastball. Logan Davidson now up, more blind than Helen Keller. What on God's name was he swinging at? Awful pitch right there. Yelich is now up with 2 on, 2 out, and he strikes out. Big K for Clase. As we go to the top of the 7th, the former Texas Ranger Alex Claudio is in for Milwaukee. Josh Bell up at the plate, hitting from the right side of the dish since Claudio is a lefty. As Josh Bell going oppo popo, that'll be a double into right center, and already the Pirates have a runner in scoring position with nobody out. Now 2 on and 1 out for Wander Franco. He's going to go down swinging on the off-speed changeup. That one low in the dirt. Nice out for Claudio. As we go to the bottom of the 7th, Keston Hiura up with 1 out. That one goes over the head of Dylan Carlson. Hiura will be safe at second, and Milwaukee has a runner in scoring position. Can they tie it up here as Tyrone Taylor's up with 2 outs? This one would fly out to right. Carlson makes a play. Milwaukee's had a few opportunities these past couple of innings, but have not been able to capitalize. As we go to the bottom of the 8th now, top of the 8th was very uneventful. Wander Suero is in for Pittsburgh. His first batter is Carlos Santana, who goes down on the 85-mile-an-hour changeup low in the zone. 2 gone now for Logan Davidson. Grounds this one out to short. O'Neal Cruz will barely make the play in time. Good 1-2-3 inning from Wander Suero as we move to the top of the 9th. Michael Feliz is in, the former Pittsburgh Pirate who was let go this offseason, and he's having a career year in Milwaukee. Would you look at that? Striking out batters at an insane rate. He was never this good in Pittsburgh. He was never even close. He put up worse numbers in the minors last year as he gets Josh Bell to strike out along with Benny Ling. Excellent inning of work from Michael Feliz as we move to the bottom of the 9th. Here's Ken Giles on for the save, 19 saves and 22 opportunities. Ben Gamel leads the inning off. He's had a good game today, but he goes down looking. A couple batters later, Miguel Sano, 1-2 pitch, and he's going to look at the 2-seamer, and the Pittsburgh Pirates will get the win here in Game 1 of a 4-game set at Miller Park, as this one is going to be wrapped up with the final score of 5-4. Good win today for the Pirates. It was not a perfect game, but you know what? The team played pretty well nonetheless. 12 hits, 5 runs. I think the bats, for the most part, were good. No home runs for the Pirates, but 5 extra base hits. RBIs for Swaggerty, Mejia, and Carlson. Mejia and Carlson each drove in a pair of runners. Julio Urias gets the win. He didn't pitch all that well. The bullpen shut the door. Clase did allow a few base runners, but he didn't allow any runs. And then Suero and Giles did an excellent job to end the game. Milwaukee's bats were not too bad. 4 runs, 11 hits. 2 home runs today for Christian Yelich. Ben Gamel also went deep. Freddie Peralta pitched fairly well. However, J.P. Thierson, for allowing 3 runs in the 6th inning, gets the loss. And then Garcia, Claudio, and Feliz all did a good job to end it. So I would simulate the rest of this series, and the Pirates would take 3 of 4, including a 6-0 shutout win in the 3rd game of the series. Brandon Waddle with 8 shutout innings, striking out 13 batters. Very good performance from him. Now the Pirates are only 2.5 games behind the Brewers, and that is where today's episode will end. Next episode, we will look at this upcoming Cubs and Brewers series. Not doing a whole lot of simulating just because I think this stretch of games is really important. Hope everybody enjoyed this episode. I'm out. Deuces.